Okay. We are doing.
6.3.
Yes, thank you, Franz.
From form of a line.
6.3. Slope-intercept form of a line. You okay, Franz?
Hiccups.
Okay. Now, yesterday, walking around and looking at all y'all's work and everything, honestly, y'all made silly mistakes. The biggest issue this class had dealt with fractions. Y'all were trying to get common denominators when you're multiplying and dividing. Y'all were trying to add and subtract without getting common denominators. So your biggest problem was fractions yesterday, which I'm glad you weren't having an issue with finding the slope. It was just adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing fractions. So I guess we could look at the positives with that one. However, a lot of y'all are also getting a little confused or forgetting the whole rise over run, like you were doing it backwards. You were doing the run first and then the rise, and so sometimes your slopes were upside down, like flipped, okay? That's going to take practice. Again, why I put the IXLs on there, because, I could give you 100 problems to do in a day, but, that's the whole beating a dead horse sort of thing. The more you practice, though, even if you make it to an 80 or 85, whatever I assigned you, if you find yourself making those mistakes in your homework, I would go back again and do some more of those. The same one, even if you made to 85, do a couple more. Try to get to 100 or something. The more you practice, the better you'll get in fewer mistakes. So be really careful. On the whole, you guys really got yesterday's work. You really kind of got the slopes. Again, just silly mistakes that's going to come with time. Okay, so with slope-intercept form, this is what the rest of you guys that had me last year have been going on and on about. This poster right here is the slope, and it's to remind you rise over run. Okay, remember, you always do that one first. Y'all, one thing y'all did do well was knowing when to do a negative and when to do a positive. I don't think I really saw any of y'all make that mistake. It was mainly doing this first and then that. Here's this formula. And I think y'all did pretty good here. Again, some mistakes were when there's a negative in front of a negative, some of y'all would forget to add or something like that. Just little things. Over here. Okay, so what we're doing today, right here, that y equals mx plus b. That's what this section right here is for. Here's that vertical line one, and here's the horizontal line. I know you guys in the back. Y'all can come up later and look. And then this other one we'll be doing probably after Christmas. Okay, so this is going to be the last one. So this formula is the one that you...
If we finish.
Oh, we're finishing today. All right, the formula for this is y equals mx plus b. Guys, you're going to see this formula for the next couple of years. You're going to see it in geometry. You're going to see it in Algebra 2. Pre-cal, you're going to see this over and over again. Y equals mx plus b. You need to go ahead and memorize it, understand it, so that even by the time we're done, you can do it in your sleep. What does the M mean?
Slope.
That's right, it means slope. Now this part, students mess up every time. And I don't understand it. That's why I went over the intercept so much. But the B, what does it mean? That's right, y-intercept. It's actually one of the easiest things in that formula. But kids mess it up all the time.
What's the X?
That's just X, and that's just Y. It's just an X and a Y. These two things really are the only things you need to know in an equation. You need to know just the slope and just the y-intercept. If you have these two things, you can graph any line. The y-intercept, which is the b, and you remember the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. That's it. That's all it is. Now, the y-intercept is usually written as an ordered pair in, in an XY kind of thing. With x being 0. Y'all know that. We talked about this. If you were to tell me that the b is just 4 and you forget to put it as 0, 4, I am not taking off. I can't think of too many teachers that would. You may have one because, every teacher is different and has different standards and ideas and such. So be careful with that. For example, let's say b equals 4. Your y-intercept is 4. Your slope is a -0.5. I'm going to graph it just using that information. Now, if how it says right here, the y-intercept b is written in this format. Okay, well, here's my example as to why it doesn't matter. Sometimes they're going to tell you the y-intercept is just 4. But officially, it should be written as 0, 4. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Yeah, because the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So if b is 4, the y-intercept, Valeria, is 4. So where should this is the first thing we're going to do. Well, I'm not going to ask you questions. I'll just do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's 4 right here. I'm going to put a dot. The first thing you should always do when graphing a line is mark your y-intercept. Do you see how I have first written here? You should too, because your if you try doing the slope, where are you going to go from? You have to do your y-intercept first. So y'all better have this written down. If the problem says y-intercept is 4, you stick a dot on the 4 of the y-axis. This is your y-intercept. Do you see that? Matthew, do you see that?
Ma'am.
Do you see the y-intercept is b, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the first thing we're going to plot. And there it is right there. Y-axis. This is the point that the graph crosses the y-axis. So we're going to stick a dot there. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now we're going to start here and do our slope. That's the second thing we do. And remember, it's rise over run. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply that negative to the 1. So if it's -1, Matthew, do I go up or down?
Down.
That's right. If it's -1, I'm going to go down 1. And then, Valeria, this is +2. So which direction do I go?
Right.
How many places?
2.
Bingo. And there's my dot. Now, what I was telling y'all last year and yesterday is you probably want to do this a couple times to have an accurate line. So I would go down and then over 2 again, just to make sure it's accurate. You can keep on doing it, doesn't matter. But really, you only need those 2 dots, and then you connect them, and there's your line. There's your graph. And that's it. So before I move on, any questions? Speak now. You understand what the y-intercept is? Do what?
We did this yesterday.
No. We found slopes, rise over run and stuff yesterday, but we didn't do this yesterday. This is all new. Slopes is what we did yesterday, and y'all really did well on that, is what I'm saying. So Matthew, do you understand the y-intercept?
Yes,
Good. All right, let's move on. Does everyone have this? Okay. Now, a little tidbit information. If the slope, and I'll move this up, is positive, the line looks like this. It goes in that direction. Slopes that way. And notice, look, what was this slope? Was it positive or negative, Keith?
Negative.
And so look at the direction of the graph. Do y'all see that? See, negative slope, the graph went this way. So if the slope is positive, your line's going to go this way. If, and you need to write this down, if the slope is negative, the line's going to look like the one above. It's going to go this way. Now, yesterday, I had a number of students in here that their line or their graph would be going this direction when it was supposed to go this direction. Several. So here is, if you memorize this, if you can look at your slope and say, oh, it's negative, therefore it needs to go in this kind of direction. I don't know if it's going to go this way or that way, but it has to go in this direction. If it's positive, it's going to go this direction. And again, it just has to do with if you did your math correctly or not. Okay? I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, nobody memorizes this. It would help, but you are memorizing enough already. It's in your notes now, though. You can look back at it. So I'll wait till y'all finish writing that down. You can go ahead and open your books to 248 because we're going to jump right in and start doing examples.
Okay. Big jump.
It's a big old jump.
That's T.
Maybe. Everyone got it? I'm going to assume yes. Yell out if I ever move fast and you don't have it down. I'll stop. All right, we're going to be doing examples on page 248. 248. All right, here we go. We're going to start with number 1. Wait, let me make sure everyone's got their book open. Oh my. Okay, good job, good job. 248. We're on number 1. Let's see. Miranda, read the directions.
State the slope and y-intercept of each linear equation.
State the slope and y-intercept. So you're going to have 2 different answers for these. Guys, please take notes, and then when you're doing your work, use them so y'all not doing everything wrong.
You're also saying a lot of the people's names.
That doesn't matter. No one cares. All right. It'll be less students after the holidays. I'm just kidding. Okay. So it says to name the slope and the y-intercept. Guys, remember your formula is this. Make sure you memorize that. Y equals mx plus b. What is the m again? Very good. What is the b? Very good. I know at least one person here knows that. Good job. All right, so let's just look at this, Miranda. Tell me, the first thing is what's the slope? So tell me, Miranda, what is the slope? It's 3, because it's in the place of the m. So your slope is 3. You could, because the slope can be either a whole number or a fraction, you could actually say 3 over 1. I don't care. Now the second part is the y-intercept. Miranda, what's the y-intercept? Very good, because there's your b. Now, you know what your book says? The book wants you to write it like this. Miss Rogers doesn't care if you just throw down that 4. Because really, 0, 4, they're saying x is, this point is 0, 4. Because the x is 0, you're not going left or right, so you only have a y. That's what that means. They're being very detailed, which is a good thing. And this is your answer.
That's it.
Yeah, I just want you to state it. Oh, Matthew, yes.
So when it asks you to graph it or whatever, you have to graph the b.
That's the first thing. Your y-intercept is the first thing you do. You put that dot right wherever the y-intercept is.
What if you don't have one?
What if you don't have one, a what?
What if, like, in the equation you don't have a y-intercept or?
Ah, okay, so we're jumping ahead, but that's a very good question. I'm going to write that in red because this happens. If you have, let's say, I'll write this over here. And y'all may want to write this. Chap said, what if you have a y equals 3x? Okay? So, we know our slope because that's there, right? But where's our b? If there's nothing there new, what would be there? Well, it says 0. So then your y-intercept, your slope would be 3, and your y-intercept is 0. So your graph would be right here. Your y-intercept would start there, and then your slope is 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3, and then 1. So it would be going diagonal. That's a very good question.
Oh. So it's the same if you don't have a slope.
Now, if you don't have a slope, it's going to be like this up here, where you have the vertical and the horizontal line, because there's no slope. And I think we went over that yesterday. So that's a good question, because that comes up. I'm glad you asked. So those of you that missed that, let me reiterate. If your equation only looks like this right here, and they've left out the slope, or not slope, they left out the y-intercept, that just means it's 0. Okay? So I'm going to let y'all write that down. If you're done, put your pencil down so I know you're done. You got it all? Sure? Franz, how you doing? Got it? Okay, good. Let's look at number 3. Matthew. My equation there is, oh, see, that's what you were looking ahead, weren't you?
I did actually not see that.
Number 3 is y equals negative x. So Matthew, if the formula is y equals mx plus b, can you tell me what the slope is first? It's tricky, tricky, tricky. If we don't have a number in front of the letter, we pretend it's a. So then what would the slope be? Perfect. Y'all all see that?
Yes. Wait, but is it x negative 1 or not?
Remember, this is the formula. And we only look at the actual slope. So that negative is applied to the imaginary one. That's a tricky one. Make sure you wrote this down. And then, per our recent discussion, Matthew, what is my y-intercept?
0.
That's right, it's 0. Because I don't have one here. It's missing the y. So it's 0. Now, this slope, it's also written like -1 over 1. Not -1 over -1, just -1 over 1. Any questions? Y'all get this, I promise. Y'all have it down? All right, let's look at 5. Okay, let's see. Sophia, read the directions. Okay, do you see A, B, C, and D? Matthew, you have a question?
Yes. Can you show me how you got the fraction on the last one?
Right here?
Yes, please.
Okay, so look over here, whenever you have a whole number for a slope, remember it's rise over run. We want to stick a number 1 underneath it. So then we have rise over run. Here, we again have just a whole number. Sometimes they'll give you, a fraction like yesterday. But if they give you a whole number, you're going to want to put it in a little fraction so you have that rise over run. And again, anytime we have a whole number, we just stick a 1 underneath it. Like right here was 3, we just stick a 1 underneath it. Does that make sense?
But I thought that if there's like a 0 as the denominator, then it's undefined.
We don't have a 0 as a denominator. Are you talking about this?
Yeah.
That is your y-intercept. This is just your slope. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So guys, look at number 5. You have A, B, C, and D. Do you see the 4 graphs? If you all see the 4 graphs, you will be the first algebra class I've had that actually sees all 4 graphs on the page. Oh, I'm not kidding. They think that number 5 goes with A, and 6 goes with B, and 7 goes... Do y'all see the 4 graphs?
Yes.
All right, so number 5, they want you to choose A, B, C, or D that goes with it. Now let's look at it for a second. This is your equation. So Matthew, let me ask you real quick. What is, and I know I've already picked on you, I'll pick on you again. What's my slope here?
2.
That's right. This is my slope. So I can write it as what as a fraction, Matthew?
2 over 1.
Perfect. Because now I have rise over run. Okay, so Matthew, what is my slope?
-1.
There you go. You are correct. So you are starting to pick this out. Now, the slope is 2 over 1. Your y-intercept is -1. Okay, so look at those graphs. A, B, C, and D. First of all, process of elimination. Matthew, what should we plot first? The slope or the y-intercept?
The y-intercept.
That's right, we do this one first. So look on those graphs, and which 2 has a y-intercept of -1, or what looks to be a -1? Where does the graph cross the y-axis at about -1?
Well, I could tell you that two of them are sloping toward the positive way.
Okay, well, that's good, but tell me which two, and that's actually beneficial, which two, though, cross at a negative number on the y? You see what I'm talking about?
A and D.
Well, A, where does it cross on the y? Is that a positive number?
Yes.
Let me see. Yeah, that's right. But we're looking for a y-intercept of -1.
So C and D.
Perfect. Okay, does everyone see that? Let me have your book.
This book?
Yep, that book. So look here. And ignore his drawing. Okay, so if you look, I don't even know what that is. At least it's not inappropriate. If you look, this graph crosses right here. This one crosses the y-intercept there, crosses the y-axis there, and there. So this is at a positive number, positive. This is at a negative and a negative. Do y'all see that? So if his y-intercept is negative, it would have to be C or D, correct? Now we have to decide which one of those graphs goes with it. So you can look if the slope is 2/1 and it's positive, as Matthew said. Matthew, which one do you think it would be?
D.
Positive?
Oh, which one's the
See, you have a
Which
positive.
one is the positive slope?
Yeah,
C.
that's right. So this is positive. So therefore, it should go in this direction. So you're correct. The answer is C. You could also start, let me see your book again. Quickly.
Again?
Yes, sir. You want to sit there? You got to be my servant. Okay. So if you look, we're looking at C and D. If the slope is positive 2/1, if we were to go up and over, I don't care what it is, this would be the graph. This way, if we went up 2 and went that way, it'd have to be negative. Do y'all see that? All right. So let's look at 7. Valeria, you're my next victim. It's y equals -2x plus 1. So Valeria, what is my slope?
-2.
That's right. And we can write it as -2/1. We know that this is also negative. So that's going to tell us which direction it goes. And what's my y-intercept?
1.
+1. So Valeria, looking at those graphs, which two cross at a positive number on the y?
A and B.
Perfect. Y'all all see that. You have a y-intercept of +1. The graph on A and B both cross the y-intercept in a positive number. Matthew, do you see that? Are you sure? Okay, good. So, Valeria, if this is a negative slope, or you can even play around with it, which one do you think it is? Yell it out. B, don't hide. You are correct. Does anyone not see why it's B? Get that? See why it's B? Oh, y'all don't get it. Okay. Or y'all just don't think it's funny. I know I'm funny. All right, any questions on this? Did we beat this now? Good? Everyone have it? All right, let's move on. Let's look at number 9. It says graph each equation using its slope and y-intercept. Now we are into graphing. All right, Keith, my victim. What is the slope-intercept form? What's the form that we need to memorize and know? Yep. By the way, if your equation does not look like this, like y all by itself, mx here, now y'all see why when we originally started all this, I said y'all had to put that x first. You need to rearrange it by doing true alert. So, Keith, what is my, let's start with y-intercept. What's the y-intercept since we have to post that first? 4, very good. And then what is my slope, Keith? That's right. Good job. And we can go ahead and write it as -2/1 because we are graphing this time. This is your rise. This is your run. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so Keith, what is the first thing that I need to put on my Cartesian plane?
The 4.
This right here, boys and girls, should always be written or plotted first. And he's correct, that's the y-intercept. It's +4, so that would go right here. Does everyone see that? You'd be surprised at how many of my students forget to do that first. And then their graph is everywhere. All right, so Keith, what do I do with the slope?
You go down to the right.
That's right. So I'm starting right here at my y-intercept. We start here and we go down 2 and over 1. I would do one more just in case. Down 2 and over 1. And then you connect your little dots. And yes, you will use straight edges so that your graphs are nice and neat. Any questions about this? One other common mistake is kids will put this dot here and then somehow, for some reason, start at 0 and do their slope. You have to start at your y-intercept. Everyone have this? Any questions? Let's do a couple more. Number 11.
So who's it?
I'm going to have Miranda do this one. All right, number 11. Miranda, what is my slope? -1/4. Okay, so there, it's not a whole number and we have to stick a 1 underneath it. It's already done for us. It's rise over run. Do y'all see that? Your slope, because of it, should be in like fraction form. And Miranda, what's my y-intercept? That's right. So Miranda, which of the two am I plotting first? That's right. We're going to plot this one first. I'm going to put a star by it. In fact, I'm going to put a star up here so that my students remember to do that one first. Now let's graph. Hopefully you're already done graphing because I'm slow, and your graph is going to look just like mine.
Maybe not just like,
Maybe better.
maybe worse.
Well, hopefully not. All right, so Miranda, where do I put this 5? Over here? Where? Up on this line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it is positive. It's not negative. And I'm starting here, and now what do I do with my slope? There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 1 over here. And then, you could do it opposite. You could have your negative with the 4. We could, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could go up 1 and then over 4 too. And then you connect your dot. Just to make sure it's good. Any questions? Ooh, I like 15. Let's see. Sophia, because of your text last night, I'm going to have you do 15. Are you done copying?
What did she say?
She sent me pictures. She needs to quit sending me pictures of holy jeans.
Oh,
Okay,
They weren't ripped.
they were ripped.
But there wasn't actually holes in them. They were all the holes were covered by like jeans.
Okay, there's holes in them. They just put patches behind the holes. Did you still see the rips?
Yes.
You just don't see skin. Okay, I thank you for that. But it looked like, I don't know, a cow got to it or something. It was like, I don't even, you're paying a lot of money for very little material. I'll just say that. All right, 3x plus y equals 5. Like 2 hogs fighting over a pair of jeans or something. That's what it looked like. I should show y'all a picture. It's cute, I'm sure, but a lot of money for very little material. Okay, so is this, Sophia, in the correct format?
No.
What is it supposed to look like?
Equals mx plus b.
There you go. And that's clearly not. So what do I need to do?
Subtract 3x on both sides.
There you go. Subtract 3x on both sides because we need to get the y all by itself. I mean, no number, nothing. And then we need to get the x over here and then the y-intercept over there. Okay. So I'm left with y equals. Now, guys, this is what's important. You need to now put that x first. If you don't, it may throw you off later.
And now you can solve.
Now you can solve. In fact, it says write each equation in slope-intercept form. I forgot to read the directions. Then state the slope and y-intercept. Does it tell you to graph?
No.
You don't have to graph this one.
Yay!
So, Sophia, what is the slope
-3.
and what's the y-intercept? Very good. You must have all of that information in your answer for it to be correct. If you don't, because you didn't follow directions, I will make you graph it. Y'all could use the practice anyway. Does everyone have this down?
No way, I need it a little bit more.
Hurry. I think you are good to go. I think y'all figured this out. Anyone have questions over this? All right, y'all are going to do page 248 to, whoops, page 248 to 249.
Can you just like stop recording because
No, stop talking. All right, you're going to do numbers 10 through 28 even. Honors, you're going to do 12 through 28 even plus 38. This is due Monday. Don't forget your IXL is due Wednesday. I can't even find a place to write that. IXL due Wednesday. Let me freeze it. I think, what is that, 10 problems?
that is
I think y'all can handle this.
it sounds like